How you guys doing? Hey, I hope you guys been having a good week. Good beginning of the month. I hope you guys out there hustling, shaking, moving, and doing what you got to do, to get your bread and get your money and everything. But one thing I want to talk about, because this has been coming across my timeline, I've been seeing it, and the one thing I want to talk about today is the Rodney Hinton Jr. incident. For y'all who don't know, that incident in summary is just an incident where the father of a son uh, ran a police officer in the car, just because his son was in an incident where his son was killed by another police officer. So, and let me break it down real fast. My condolences go out to the families of all this, because all this is very tragic. I don't want to see anybody getting hurt or, deleted by anybody. So I just want to say that first. But this message I have is for Black folks, because as I'm going through this stuff, I'm seeing GoFundMe's for this type of stuff, and to me, that's really, really bad. We cannot go out here and do these GoFundMe's for people who just doing crazy stuff like he's doing. Right? I understand that stuff happened with his son, but we got to have some more accountability, because these GoFundMe's and stuff is going to get us to the point where when something really does happen and the officer really does something bad, nobody's going to believe you, because you got these, GoFundMe's for just any and every old thing, right? So that's a problem. Maybe these GoFundMe's are happening because people didn't read the entire story, because that's a possibility. Sometimes we see clips on CNN, sometimes we see clips on social media, and they can take it out of this, they can take it out of context, and the view will get distorted, and and everybody have bias, and everybody create news slanted towards their own beliefs and stuff like that, because fake news is real, we all know it, and we all know people have biases. So let me just break this down real fast, right? Let's start with the son. So Ryan Hilton was 18 years old, and he was in a Johnny. And if y'all know what a Johnny is a stolen car. He had a firearm, and they were evading police. So, I look at it as, if you're doing that as an 18-year-old, you're pitting yourself in an adult situation. And I know a lot of people are going to argue, well, 18 is so young. 18 is grown. At 18, you can join the military. At 18, you can take out $100,000 in loans and go to college and stuff like that. If you're a girl at 18, you can start an OF page and join the adult industry if you want to. 18 is an adult age, especially if you're walking around with firearms. I would argue, if you're younger than 18, if you're walking around with a firearm, you're doing grown man stuff. So when you do grown man stuff, there's grown man consequences. See, what people don't understand is the police has an obligation to protect public safety. And at the time, what he was doing was he was putting the whole public in danger. When you're evading police in a high-speed chase, running from them in the car, you're putting the public at risk. So when you get out that car, and if you're not putting your hands up, surrendering, you showing firearms, what is the police officer going to do? Right? And I'm not saying that gives them every right to go ahead and just open fire just because, you saw them with a weapon. I'm not saying that, but at the same time, you put yourself and that police officer in a real bad spot. Look at it the other way, right? So let's just say hypothetically, the police officer see him with the weapon. He get out the car, he make a run for it. The police officer gives chase. And later on, they get cornered in the store somewhere, and he decides to open fire because now he's cornered, right? And that weapon hurts your mother or your grandfather or your sister or your brother or someone else, right? Now is a thing where, well, they should have done something earlier. When they had him earlier, they should have did something, right? That'll be the argument. And now everybody will be ready to sue, and everybody will still be mad at the officers because they didn't do nothing when they had a chance to do something earlier. And now they let him go, and now he hurt somebody. And that'll be the argument for that. So when they got a chance to stop a really bad situation, a lot of times they're going to take that chance. If it's going to be me or you in the situation, it's going to be you every time. Even if I think it's going to be me, it's going to be you. Like, that's just how that stuff goes. I think there's a lot that asks an officer or anyone else to risk their life to save your life while you're endangering your own life and others. That's a lot. I mean, that don't make sense. That's like asking a lifeguard to go save someone in a swimming pool who can't swim, who jumped in a pool full of sharks. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. And let me talk about something else too, right? The stolen car thing, right? And this is just a personal story. 3 weeks ago, someone stole my sister's Dodge Durango, right? She's been going through a bunch of stuff for the past year, and she worked very, very hard to get that truck, right? And you had these dickheads go take the truck. They committed crimes in the truck, and then when they found the truck that was all the way on the other side of the city, the truck got bullet holes in it, right? So then she calls her insurance company, and because the truck was stolen and not in a collision, she had to pay $2,000 deductible to get her truck fixed. That's $2,000 she had to pay because of someone else. So now she got the $2,000 deductible, her insurance, and the regular car note. That's too much. And people want to act like, that's cool. That's not cool. Right now, you stealing her car or you stealing anyone's car will affect their livelihood. And that's not cool. If your son riding around in the car doing gangster shit, then you fault them as a father. That's just what it is. It's like me. I got two daughters. If my daughters turn 18 and decide to do OnlyFans or decide to work on a pole or do adult entertainment, I felt them as a father. That's just what it is. That's nobody else's fault. The only person I should be upset with is me. That's it. It ain't nobody else's fault that happened. Now, look, I know parenting is extremely hard. I'm not making no excuses, but I understand that. I'm not a perfect parent. I don't think nobody's a perfect parent. We all have our shortcomings. But at the end of the day, we still got that responsibility, right? I view it like this. If your son's 18, your son should be just graduating high school. Your son should be going to the military. Your son should be either going to trade school, going to college, or working, something like that. Now, granted, I understand there's different fields now. People are gamers, and you got people who do entertainment and stuff like that. I understand that. But me, I view all that as working, right? So if you're doing something like that, to me, that still falls in the category of working. If your son was doing all that stuff he was supposed to be doing, and if your son was where he was supposed to be, he wouldn't have time to be in the car with a bunch of dudes riding around with guns, right? He just wouldn't have that time to do it because he's doing what he's supposed to do at 18 years old.